was really important for me to first go, okay, the talk of like, hey, you're worthless, you're this or that needs to go. We got to get rid of that. It was therapy, it was doing EMDR, and then I started doing hypnotherapy. But at the same time, I had my first appointment with a psychic. And told me things that like there's no way she would know. And then I started paying attention and I started picking up on signs. I felt the support coming from around me. I felt the support coming from like within. It was really just like validating. At some point, I like stopped pushing those things off and just allowed the yeses to come in and allowed myself to go, no, like this is who I am and this is what I believe in. And when I got to that point, it was like I could put both feet on the ground and stand the power of like who I am and what I believe in and move forward in life as this person and not the person who was pretending to be all these other things.
Hey there, lady. My name is Molly Conley, and I'm devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives, whether that's after divorce, dating on and off the apps, or in their committed relationship. Why? Because I've been there. I'm a former college athlete who filed for divorce 3 years into marriage, swam in the online dating pool into my late 30s, and now I'm married to the man of my spreadsheet dreams who I met 4 months before the world shut down. As a dating and relationship coach, I help my clients build a foundation filled with clarity, connection, and confidence, knowing Mr. Right is worth waiting for. Each week on the podcast, I'll bring you love life insights and savvy guests where you will receive the courage to release programmed limiting beliefs, discover patterns and behaviors restricting you from finding and attracting quality men, and ways to choose yourself first so you can build a foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself and a partner.
So, hello there, lady. Welcome back to Reinventing the Arena Talk. I'm your host, Molly Connolly, and if today's your first time listening, welcome. I am beyond thrilled to have today's guest joining me today. A herbalist, tarot card reader, and a chicken cat mom. Samantha Brandt is the creatrix behind the national small business called Moon Hare. In her 20s, she met with an herbalist to help her treat continual illnesses. Sam was immediately drawn to the magic and power of plants. This inspired her to learn everything and anything she could about the world of plants. Samantha's desire to study for multiple herbalists led her to connect with plants spiritually, and her gifts started to form. She has taken her gifts to another level where she creates her own herbal products like teas, tinctures, and flower essences. But of course, Samantha hasn't stopped there. She now offers tarot card reading through her website. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sam. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Oh, it's so great to have you on. I literally cannot because that I don't have anything to talk to you about today because this is something I want to have on the podcast. You and I talked about it before, discussing, incorporating spirituality in your own personal development. But when I start thinking back to when we first met, you had done so much personal growth that sometimes I honestly do sit back in amazement. Will you share your self-transformation journey into the creatrix behind your magical person? Absolutely. So it started with a lot of therapy, and really, kind of coming to terms with the language I was using to talk to myself. There was a lot of anxiety, like constant anxiety, things like that, and just like negative self-talk, which led to me, discovering that I had PTSD and, I had a lot of like childhood trauma and things that I didn't like pay attention to. I was all in my head and I wasn't focusing on like what was happening in the real world. Um, but not in a fun way, like in a I hate myself way. And it was real bad, but people around me encouraged therapy, so I started there. I started getting more in touch with like who I am and what I care about and all of the things that I'm interested in and not like putting on this persona of the everyday Midwestern girl. No, I fucking love tarot and astrology and spirituality. And those are the things
just fire me up, but I had listened to so many people talk down about these things, either
Mhm.
from the Christians who were like, "Oh, this is satanic," or from the atheists who I grew up with who said, anything that's not like in the real world is dumb or doesn't exist or, whatever. So it was really important for me to first go, okay, the talk of like, hey, you're worthless, you're this or that needs to go. We got to get rid of it. Once I realized where that was coming from, cut those people out of my life, the ones who put that into my head, and started talking to myself in a way that I would want to talk to other people. Everything started shifting for me. So it was therapy, it was doing EMDR, and then I started doing hypnotherapy with a hypnotherapist. But at the same time, I had my first appointment with a psychic
Mm.
and told me things that, like, there's no way she would know. Things that I was like crying about in the shower. And I'm like, okay, she couldn't have guessed that. And then she told me about how my mom is around me all the time and all these things she was saying to me. And then I started paying attention and I started picking up on signs. I felt the support coming from around me. I felt the support coming from like within. It was really just like validating because I was always into things that were different. I was always coming up with like fantasies and all of these things. And I had imaginary friends when I was a kid that I would talk about like flying with and things like this. And at some point, I, like, stopped pushing those things off and just allowed the yeses to come in and allowed myself to go, "No, like, this is who I am, and this is what I believe in." And when I got to that point, it was like I could put both feet on the ground and stand the power of, like, who I am and what I believe in and, like, move forward in life as this person and not the person who was, like, pretending to be all these other things.
Yeah, I love that you really elaborated on that part of the journey of like all the things that you did to get there to really work on your self-worth. And you brought like the persona. And I know that I told you before, like I call that masking who you are, even with who you are as alone and spending time with yourself may be different than how you engage with other people, whether that's a partner or with your family members or with your friends or your coworkers. And sometimes that mask is needed, but most of the time that mask has been created and designed by other people and we internalize it and we keep it on so much that sometimes we don't even know who the heck we are. And so doing all of that work, the therapy, EMDR, and I did EMDR as well, but the hypnotherapy is also really fascinating because from how long we've known each other, it feels like between the EMDR and the hypnotherapy was when you really started to embrace your spiritual gifts. And like you are a vegan as well. So you've already been like dabbling in all kinds of different ways. When did you think herbalism and the spirituality started to come full circle in this area of your journey?
I was always super interested in plants, mostly because my dad's side of the family, all of the women have green thumbs and have these amazing gardens. I admire them so much and like wanted to be like them. So I
Mhm.
started looking into having plants in my house. And then once we lived in an apartment where there was a yard, I planted some things outside. I just loved it. And then we bought a house and I started gardening. I was told by so many people, "Oh, just start small, just do one little part." No, that was not gonna work. I mean, I would go outside to work on the garden, and next thing I know, I've been out there for 6 hours, and I'm like, "Oh, I haven't even had dinner or lunch or." And I it just became this, like, safe place for me.
Mhm.
And now I know that part of that is because the plants around here, they did something to me. The amount of comfort that they brought me, the amount of peace, everything else like just melted away when I was spending the time in the gardens. It was almost like sitting with your grandmother. I'd be out there and I would just feel like I was being hugged by these plants. And I don't know, When it's hard for me to really piece together when it started or when I wanna learn more about these because of the minute I started learning about plants, I was Googling constantly, and then I found my first herbalist teacher, and she offered a course that was like $50 a month for 9 months, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I can handle that." And so I start taking the class. I'm sure I told you, like, weeks in, my god, I cannot talk about how amazing this I couldn't I was just so obsessed and give me
Mhm.
more, give me more, give me more. So I think halfway through that program, I signed up for, like, a more intensive program with another herbalist organization. I started making things for people and it snowballed into
I
this
know.
this huge thing into my life about where my life is now because I mean, I was searching and searching and searching. I was always searching. I was lost. I didn't know where to go. I had been fed this like, "Oh, you wanna help people, that's sweet, but really what matters is making money," the
Oh, yeah.
capitalist bullshit. And so I tried doing that. I'm like, "Okay, how can I make money?" None of these things feel good to me. I'd be surrounded by people who were talking about climbing the ladder, and I just felt like I was in this room, like, screaming, and no one could hear me because I was like, "How are you all just you really care about this? Like, this is what your life goal is?" I just couldn't do it. I didn't know what to do, and I was just so lost, and getting into the garden and getting in touch with the plants, like, really saved me. Look at
Yeah.
me getting emotional.
No, but that's great. Like,
You knew I was gonna cry at least once, right?
I mean, Pisces definitely makes sense. No, it's so beautiful. Like when you and I met, you weren't even really into the garden. Like, God, what year was that? 2018?
Yeah.
And I mean, even 2018 me is not who I am now. I know that time for you, but like we were at the moment of we're so tired of the bullshit.
Mhm.
And lucky for both of us, we started this process a little bit before the pandemic. You are an avid learner and you take so many courses that I'm like, you remind me of me, but you have the energy and the drive to continue to take and take and take and take because it's so feeding for you. For me, I can't handle a lot of courses all the time because then I end up never doing them. But what I love about you is that you're like, I'm in this course right now in this last 2 years, and I'm learning this about spirituality. I'm learning herbalism. But at the same time, like, you incorporate it so well. And I feel like this is why you are so unique. And it's some of these spiritual classes that you take and have really amplified your gifts. And so, what aspects do you think of your spiritual journey and the recreation of your herbal products for women specifically? I mean, I know you help other people, but you in the beginning was really focusing on women. What aspects of your spiritual journey and the creation of your herbal products that started out for women specifically helped you develop that deeper sense of connection to yourself?
So, I think that, like, part of the reason that I want to make products for women really is just because, most of my friends are women. Most of the people I'm close with are women. I know what it's like to be a woman, and I know the bullshit that women go through. I mean, mentally, physically, like, all of the things. It was really going through the therapy and, like, knowing, like, this version of a person is what I want who I wanna be. I wanna love myself, I want to, have confidence in myself, I wanna be able to do all of these things, and when I would see other people not doing that and talking down to themselves or, whatever, I would, like, yell at them, like, force feed them self-love and, like, "You shouldn't care about this," and that whatever. It's always been something that I've done, and at some point during that process, getting connected with the herbs, starting to make products for women, doing the therapy, like talking to my higher self, talking to my guides, all of that stuff, I started transforming into somebody who actually did love myself. The whole reason I'm doing this is to help these other people feel the same way about that, to feel that way about themselves. And then I went, oh, wait. I should feel that too. And it was just, like, actively listening to how I was talking to myself, like I said before, and then feeling the love from the spiritual world, feeling the love from my guides, feeling the love from my mom, who just hangs around all the time and, like, sends me butterflies and, like, the stuff that, like, a lot of people have, like, "Oh, my grandma sends me cardinals, my
Yeah.
grandma sends me an owl." Like,
Yes, yes.
recognizing those things and then also hearing the voice that says, "Oh, no, it can't be that. You're just making that up," and going, "No, we're done with that. This is real. It is happening, and the universe loves me, and the universe wants the best
Right.
for me, and I deserve to love myself." And then I went, "Holy shit. Holy shit, this is amazing. I can feel this way. I feel amazing. I wanna help other people feel amazing." And I think I started with, like, I think the first tea I made was period tea. Now has
Yeah.
transformed into moon cycle
Which is
because
amazing, by the way, ladies.
moon cycle think is I think is the most important product that I've made because the
Yeah.
cramps, the bloating, all of the things that we go through that we just pretend don't happen are just, I mean, it's kind of insane. Um But, like, being able to make something that helps that so much. I mean, I'm somebody who's always popped ibuprofen, every month, and being able to, like, take something, that, comes from my garden and then make a tea and drink that and be able to, like, survive, and I still take it easy during my period because I think that's important, but I'm able to, like, talk to people and go on through my day, and I'm really proud of being able to create something that is so helpful in that sense. I think that it just all kind of ties in together because being able to take care of myself and then also take care of other people. And taking care of other people and making them feel better, but then also having, like, women come up to me, like, at events and say, "Oh, yeah, I get more of that because that helped me. Oh, I have PCOS and your tincture really helps me. I keep it at my desk at work." And I was, like, mind blown the first time that happened, somebody came up to me and told me that at an event. And it just, like, lifted my heart because, like, this is who I am. This is my whole, like, life purpose is to
Mhm.
help people, like, bring ease into their lives, help people feel better, like, whether that's, like, physically or mentally. I have heart minds, like, to uplift your
Mhm.
heart and to which I people have bought it for, like, "Oh, my friend just went through a breakup, I'm gonna give this to her," or, also it just tastes good, so,
It's really good for
I don't know.
self-compassion too, because that's what I've taken it when I've been really hard on myself, when, like, people just think you probably don't think that someone like myself as a coach would be ever hard on myself. It's just like you were talking about, Sam, that inner voice, that ego side of ourselves is always going to be there. How we, like, try to tell her, "Shut up." Like, don't, like, mute her and be like, "Well, not going to happen anymore." If you do that enough, she gets louder and louder and louder. So, like, when I have heartburns or health, it's to give myself self-compassion. And it has really helped me, like, split out inward and reflect and do that part for myself, and embrace myself. So I love Heartman. It does taste really good. I love all your, to be honest, all of the tea. But um, with that being said, Moon Cycle, like you said, it has so many different benefits and how it really has helped women. And it's awesome that you do events and you as a vendor and having those out there and women coming to you. I can't even imagine, like, being in your shoes and then go reach out, like, you as a Pisces, you're like, I was gonna cry. Like, as a Virgo, I, like, hold that stuff in, and if someone would do that to me as a vendor, I was like hysterically. So, yeah, that would be a moment. So as you make your products for others, like you mentioned the Moon Cycle tea and Heart Mend, and while you're developing your spiritual gift, how has that impacted your relationship with others? Like, obviously, you just mentioned meeting those people at, an event, but with a closer relationship.
So, the closer relationships, I think a big part of it is now that I'm doing this thing where I have a business that is spiritual, I talk about connecting with plant spirits all the time. Which means that, like, I have it's, like, almost like I've come out of the oh, yeah, they say it's almost like I came out of the broom closet. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm into astrology. Yeah, I'm into tarot. You want me to read your tarot? Do you want me to tell you about your moon sign and your sun sign?" And just for the record, like, I am still very baby astrology nerd. I'm still learning, but I've been, like, at a gathering with friends, and somebody mentions astrology and I give my 2 cents, and then everybody wants to know everything about themselves. I it's just it's just made life more fun. It's so much more fun because I'm not hiding anymore. I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I care about. This is what, like, lights me up." I I want people to ask about these things because I take so much joy from talking to people about these things. And I don't know if this is my Virgo rising, but, like, I have always given unsolicited advice, and it's usually very gentle advice.
Okay.
Like, okay, so, like, you're the Virgo sun, you're the Queen of Swords, you like, there's no bullshit, you're like, "Here's how you tell it." And I'm much more like, "Well, this is just my opinion, but I think" And it's usually really gentle. "You deserve more," or "You should love yourself more," or "Don't be so hard on yourself," which I've always done that. But now the ability to be, "Hey, if you want, I can pull a tarot card about this thing. We can dive deeper into it. We can see what else we can come up with." Or, "Oh, maybe we should check and see what's going on planetary, what's going on out in the bigger world, and maybe this is impacting how you're feeling." Or, I mean, it's just I could go on and on about this. I mean, I went to a New Year's party with my husband and, like, his friends, and I brought all my tarot cards, and I read tarot for every person there, and I had so much fun. It's normal now. Everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, that's Sam. That's what Sam does." Even if there's little jabs from the skeptics, like, it's still just fun.
Mhm. I love the
Did that
skeptics
answer
because when
the
we
question?
Yeah, it has, because I'm just like so funny issue. You stand fully in your power, you accept yourself, and you're doing what you love and what lights you up. And the skeptics go around, and it's kind of like, oh, aren't you funny? You have like no threat to me. You should hear my inner ego voice talk to me sometimes. I've been able to quiet her down. I can definitely ignore you. So being able to stand and confidently be like, yeah, this is my thing. It might not be for you, and that's fine. And I don't need your consent. Um, I love how you talk about the Virgo part because this is for us being a business is that we are. I mean, Virgo's a healer, right? And so you have that already with your and your spiritual gifts. So like that's so important. Sometimes I feel like for those of us that are interested in astrology, it's really important to even just like see what the sun, moon, and risings are for you to see how does that really apply to your life and maybe even to your passions and your career and like I said, some of your relationships. So I like that you called that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I really think that it can give people a lot of validation. Um, and I mean, there's different types of astrology too. So, like, if you look into like traditional astrology and it doesn't fit, or you don't think it makes sense, like look into the other ones. There's Vedic astrology. I'm sure there's others out there that I'm not even aware of. But I'm going on a tangent here. But when I was growing up,
yeah.
I would always read the Pisces horoscope, and I'm like, "Okay, I am not in my head that much all the time." And then when I dove further into it and found out that I had the Virgo rising, I'm like, "Okay, this makes a lot more sense because I really like lists, and I don't like when my plans get changed at the last minute." And, other things. And yeah, the healer, the, like the aspect of, like, wanting to organize everything and have things planned out so that everybody has the most fun. I've always been the person who like, okay, here's 7 options for every day, like what we could do. on the trip we go on with a group of friends, and it's not like I'm doing it because I, like, have to have control over everything. I'm just like, if I do this, then nobody has to worry about it, and, like, we have all the options, and we have all the plans, and then we can just have fun. So it always comes from a place of, like, wanting to make things better for everyone and wanting to create ease.
Yeah. And now I'm curious, now that you've mentioned it, what's your moon? Because I forgot.
So my moon sign is Gemini, which when you were talking about how I take all these different courses and how I'm just seeking knowledge and education, and that is so Gemini.
And
Like, Geminis are just huge freaking nerds, and they want to gather all the information and learn all the things.
okay, then just for people that might not know, what's Pisces to me, that's like more the emotional side, wanting to connect. But
Yep.
what else am I missing?
Very dreamy, very, like, it's very common for Pisces to be, like, into the type of business I have, like, connecting with spiritual sides, being really into spiritual stuff, being into tarot. Also, I did see something that said that Pisces is the most likely sign to be vegan, which just cracks me up. I Yeah, I've been vegan for 10 years. The Pisces feel really deeply, and it that can be make things kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, which is I love Pisces so much. I am so glad that I have a water sign, an air sign, and an earth sign. So I feel like pretty balanced out. I think if I had more fire, like maybe I wouldn't want to take naps as much as I do, but
Oh my god, the nap discussion. I hate naps for anyone listening. Like, I hate going to sleep. And Sam's like, I just think it's so funny how different we are sometimes. I'm like, no, I that's the fact when I go to sleep and don't have dreams, I instantly like close my eyes, wake up, boom, it's over. I'm so excited that that's quickly has happened. And I don't think that's my Virgo in me. I don't know if it is. I'm a Libra moon and Aquarius rising. So it's, yeah, I was so excited that is.
yeah,
Which is fucking going.
I I think that that is probably a Virgo thing, but I don't know.
Oh. But, like, now that we've talked about astrology, like, obviously you have other gifts, and you've mentioned this before as we were going, and we talked about it a little just barely about tarot, and we'll get into that in a second. But you and I both believe in higher self, source, universe, and spirit guide. And there's a time, honestly, over the last like 2 or 3 years, maybe even just like maybe the last year or two, you really have been able to get in touch with your claired gifts so that you can actually talk to your spirit guides. And actually, that's part of how you connect and do your tarot is that you connect with other people's guides. You are so good at it. You can do this for me so quickly because you obviously know me really well. But like, can you talk about how you, like, what did you do to develop that? I'm fascinated because obviously I'm going to need to work on mine a little bit more, but everyone's tap on spiritual journey is unique. I just want to say that before you get started.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a long journey. But I think probably the 2 biggest ones for me have been journaling and meditation. Um, Journaling and meditation are so important because when usually, like, especially people who have anxiety, like, when you start meditating, there's, like, 5 million thoughts that are coming in. But the longer you meditate, the slower those thoughts get, and for me, like, the more I practiced it, the more times I spent meditating, the quicker those, like, anxious thoughts started to, like, fizzle out, and then peace came. And when the peace came, then I was starting to notice that other things were coming into my head that didn't make any sense to me. Why am I seeing myself, like, on a stream bed, like, putting things into the water or touching the water? Like, what's going on with that? So then I would dive a little bit further into that. Or why am I seeing the face of this person who, um, is not was not a good person to me? And, like, why are they popping into my head? And then that tells me, okay, your guides want you to pay attention to that and to go to, like, dive in. And that's when I go, "Okay, I'm taking this person and I'm going over to my journal and I'm gonna start writing." I realize that there's still, like, some attachment there that I need to get rid of. There are still some, like, things that I need to forgive so that I can let it go and get that out of my life. And I mean, there's so many things like this that happen. This is just one that has happened, like, fairly recently where I'm meditating and I'm seeing visions of things, and I'm going, "Okay, like, slow down." I say to me myself, to my guides to slow it down because you're going too fast, there's too much happening. Um, and then and then I can see, like, a specific thing, and then I take that specific thing and I go, "Okay, why am I saying this?" Because it's pretty rare that there's not some reason, there's not something I need to deal with. Sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's, like, I was meditating earlier today, and I started, like, thinking about how important or how I'm so connected to, like, all of these, gods, goddesses, beings. I'm so obsessed with all of these ones who are fertility gods or goddesses, and I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting. Let's elaborate on that." And then I see myself making a fertility tea. I see myself
Yeah.
making some kind of, like, bath ritual for fertility, and fertility, not just, like, babies. Obviously,
Yeah.
like, that's a big part of it, but also, like, for creating a business or just bringing something into your life that's new to you. And so now I'm like, "Okay, so I'm gonna look into this, like, maybe this is somewhere that, like, I need to go, or this is something that could be good for me." Um, and so okay, going back to the question, it it was journaling, it was meditating, but a lot of it was listening to other people. It was finding podcasts where they talked about how, the different practices you can do, because there are 5,000,000 different ways to develop these gifts. But most people will say meditation is important, journaling is helpful. Really opening up and listening. When something comes in and you have a sensation in your body, ask yourself why. Like, where is that coming from? What is happening? How am I feeling? What things are popping in my head? If I'm a person who, like, sees things visually, what am I seeing? What's going on around me? Like, is there something coming? Are there people coming to stay with me that cause anxiety or whatever? Or is there something coming up at work? Or I mean, there are so many ways to look into this, but I think that, like, trying to feel into your body, feel the different sensations, and then just ask questions. Ask yourself questions. Say them out loud, ask them in your head. That's a
Mhm.
big one that I didn't understand at first. Like, there are times where I'm like, "I don't wanna say this out loud." Especially, like, if my husband's, like, in the other room or something. You don't have to say it out loud. You can say it in your head. You can have these conversations. And when you hear something that is telling you to do something or asking you about something, like, pay attention to how you feel. Is that an anxiety thought? Is that a negative thought coming from anxiety or coming from depression or coming from other things? Or do you feel pretty relaxed? And then maybe it's coming from someone else. I think that was
Completely agree with
probably
that.
the biggest thing for me is, realizing when those thoughts were coming in, like, "Oh, this is my higher self," or, I don't know who it is, but it's not me, and I'm getting advice. And, like, so often, it's just, like, lovely. It's like, "Hey, don't be so hard on yourself," like, or it's, "Get your ass up and go outside and go for a walk." Like, get some fresh air, go to the woods. There's so many different things, but, like, most of the time, it's like, "Hey, relax. This isn't a big deal. Like, let's get out of this anxiety spiral. Let's go outside. Let's figure out, you know, what we can do to move on from this."
Yeah, really listening to yourself, I think, is key in so many different areas of our lives that if you really want to develop your clear gifts, And even you touched on it, like your intuition, because intuition, you have to be able to notice the sensations in your body and do that gut check. Am I having anxiety? Is it, a raised vibration over here that makes me feel icky in some way? Well, name the feeling, name what it is in your body, and decide, is that something that you want to have communicate with you or not? Or like, is that your own thought or is that something else? And I know, like, we've talked about it before, and one of my recent ones, it doesn't seem like a big deal, is like I was driving to swim practice, and it's a 20-minute drive, and I was zoning out. And right before I really was, leaving my neighborhood, I heard "watch out for deer." And I was like, yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. And for those that don't live in St. Louis, there is a lot of parks and there's a lot of nature and there's deer throughout the entire city. It's like Missouri just has this like takeover of deer everywhere. And so it wasn't until I was at the school turning into the parking lot that there were deer there. So like 20 minutes later, I was like, okay, I'm watching for deer, whatever, of course. But I didn't even think that I would see any because I'd never had seen any on this drive before. But that's like a small example, but some of the other ones I had before that you talk about, like get up and go do something. The day my grandmother passed away, I had no idea she was in hospice care. And I heard a voice say, go visit your grandma. And I was like, all right, here I go. And I just text my mom. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go visit grandma. She's like, great. I didn't want to tell you, but I'm here right now with her and she's passing away. And I'm like, of course my mom would want to tell me. And so like and get there just in time to see her. And she couldn't talk anymore at the time, but like she knew I was there. And now, because of someone else I know that my grandmother is one of my spirit guides and a spirit helper of mine. And so all of these things, when you really pay attention and listen to this voice, and it does come from a place of calm, a place of peace, um, that is an intuitive hit. That is someone chatting with you that you need to pay attention to. They don't happen as often for me as they do for you. But like you said, there's numerous people and ways to learn from to develop those gifts. And so when you talk to plant spirits, because I know this is totally random question that I was not planning on asking you, but when you talk to plant spirits, how different is that than talking to spirit guide?
Oh my gosh, it's so different. Um, so and I think that the my communication with plant spirits is a lot more about feeling.
Mm,
So, I mean, if if it's not winter, like where the plants are actually like, above ground alive, and I'm feeling like sad or just, any kind of emotion that like brings me down, I will
mhm.
just go out there and I will sit next to my sage, my garden sage, because the sage is like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it because it is so comforting and so like warm, and it really gives you the feeling of like you just have a hug around you. Can
Mhm.
I tell the story about when I asked who wants to help with you and your breast
Maybe
cancer?
not. Yes, you
Okay.
can definitely tell that's part of the story.
Okay. So I had Molly had told me that she had breast cancer and she was going to have the surgery and just everything that was going on with that. And so me being me, because this is who I am, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make something to send to her that like can maybe help. And so I wanted to do like more of a magical thing. Um, so I said, okay, I'm gonna make a flower essence. And so I walk out into my garden. It's a pretty small garden. I'm just kind of looking around and I'm like, okay, I don't know where to go with this. I'm not sure which plant to use. And so I just sit down in the grass in the middle and I close my eyes and like really try and get centered. And I do this in my head because I'm outside and my neighbors
Neighbors.
don't know. I'm just asking to my garden. I tell them about what's going on, so who wants to help Molly? And I was so overwhelmed because it was just like all this energy came at me, and I was just like hearing me, like all of the plants were like, no, I want to help, I want to help, I want to help, I want to help. And I was just like, holy shit. And that is probably the most intense feeling that I have felt working with plant spirits was just how, like, they were all in, and they were all, like it was just so intense, and just, like, so excited to help, and so I also think they were excited that I had asked because, like, a lot of time most of the times, it's just, when I'm gardening, I'm talking to the plant without even realizing I'm doing it, like, if I step on a plant, I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, I've always been that way. And so a big part of it is just, like, building that relationship and sensing what they need or, asking, if they need something. "Do you need water? Do you need me to, like, harvest some? Do you need whatever?" But I ended up, making my yarrow protection flower essence from that experience because, I don't even know if I was necessarily like, "Oh, this is the right one." I was like, "I don't know who to choose, so and you're the closest plant to me." So that's how I picked it. And I mean, yarrow's incredible. Yarrows, I realized, last week that it is the plant I use most. Like, it's in, like, half of my products because it's so
Mm.
powerful and wonderful. Um, I have one other story in
Yeah,
regards
please
to plant
don't.
spirit. So, I wanted to harvest some violet flowers, which violets around here grow just, like, all over the place, like, most people pull them as weeds. Um And I'm sitting in the grass and I'm like connecting with the plant and I ask it if I can take some of its flowers to make medicine from. That is one thing I've realized is that if I tell the plants that I'm going to use them for medicine, they are like, absolutely. Like you almost always they're cool with it. Well, the violets had some words for me. They all I hear in my head is, "You need to clean up your patio." So, I was like, "Yeah, I do. That I do." So, I went and cleaned up the patio, and I did not collect any violet flowers that day.
You're like, "I will cross that off my to-do list, thank you."
It's just really funny. Like, plants are so funny. They're like that is okay, this is another thing about like, spiritual connection and talking to spirits that, like, one of the things that has been the most surprising for me is how silly they are. Like, you imagine this, like, ethereal, communication, really intense, and, like, sometimes it is intense, but it's not intense, like, scary, it's intense, like, "Whoa, I feel a lot of sensation in my body," and then they'll
Yeah.
say something like, "You need to clean your house." Or, like, "What do you like, go dance." Like, get up, play some music, go have fun, like, it's so much of it is just the same way that I talk to other people. Like, there's a goddess I work with who, like, everyone talks about how intense she is, and, "Oh my god, like, don't piss her off." And I'm like, "She makes fun of me all the time." Like, to me, like, she says things to me, and I'm like, "Okay, thanks. Got it." Like, it doesn't have to be this scary thing, like, it's fun, it's like, ask for protection from your ancestors, from your guides, those around you, like, I think that was, like, the first thing that I, worked on, was really just like, "Okay, how do I feel protected?" I mean, last night I'm sorry, I'm just going on and on, you can cut me
I
off
love I
if you
love
need.
this. Let's just keep going. The stories are so great because it's really hanging from a place of authenticity and, like, the fact that we'll just keep going.
Okay. So last night, I went for a walk at my favorite park, and
Ooh, the favorite
I
part.
yeah. And I wasn't really paying attention to, like, how soon the sun was going down, and I was like, "Oh my god, this sunset is so amazing." And then all of a sudden, I'm a mile and a half away from my car, and it's dark outside. And I'm like, "Cool, cool, cool, this is great." And so I'm walking, and I was listening to a book, and so I had my headphones on, and then I heard something moving off to my right, and there is a train track over here, and a train had gone by, so then I was, like, having these, like, silly thoughts of, like, "What if somebody jumped off the train and there's a human over there?" Because that's the only thing I can think of for humans. And so I started getting really paranoid, and so I took my headphones off, and then I just immediately, I stood there and I took a couple deep breaths, and I connected with the spirit that I feel is, like, the best protector, and I said, "Please protect me. Please, like, put a bubble of safety over me until I can get to my car." And then I felt I felt it, and then I walked to my car and I was fine. And, even, like, I don't really know what happens. I don't know if, like, anybody can explain it. And I mean, even if it is just, like, giving me the sense of, like, um, I feel safe now, like, that is all that mattered in that moment. And then, like, 30 seconds later, coyotes started howling all around me, and I'm like, "Okay."
That's
Cool.
such a good sign. When you bring
Yeah.
this up now, what's so funny is that you brought up a memory for me. Did I ever tell you about the time I asked for protection on a date? Mm-mm. Okay. So this is why I tell ladies to pay attention to dating and not know why they're like, oh my god, I love her, it would be so great, I makes this stuff fun. And it's like, no, just really pay attention. And if Valerie is someone the night before we drank too much, I have my Molly hangover. And my hangovers are bad, which is why I don't drink like barely at all anymore. And they get worse when you get older, so just an FYI for anyone that's like, I can do this in my 20s. You're like, you just wait till you're 40. But for me, we had planned on a side date. And this person didn't seem to grasp, like, I'm hungover and I'm sick. I don't like sick all day. So why don't you just want to watch a movie? I was like, I could probably do that. And so I picked up some soup from Panera, went over to Liva's house, and he instantly was trying to go with me. I'm like, hey, dude, I like brushed my teeth about 20 minutes ago because I've been throwing up all day. And just to be real, we shouldn't make out because I don't know if I'm going to feel okay. He's like, oh, you'll be fine. I'm like, no, I'm seriously not feeling good. I don't think you get it. Like, I'm not trying hard to get it. I don't feel good. And like you said, I can be very blunt. And I was like, that's exactly what I said. And he is still not over his head. And he had to go use the restroom. I really felt okay for the situation. Something needs to happen. And I started to fiesta again. Like I started feeling this hangover come back. I was like, oh boy, where's that batter? Because I might go throw up. Couldn't keep the chicken noodle soup. I was like, go down. And he wanted to come back and started like yelling at my spirits needle. Like, I don't think this is gonna work right now. I feel sick. I'm not like pushing you off. Like, I think you're a great guy. He said, like, you want to lay down. Well, when I lay down, he proceeded to try to get on top of me. And I was like, that's it. Like in my head, I'm like, I really don't feel comfortable. I really don't feel safe. I need something. Well, what had happened was he had a movie on and his internet out of nowhere. Nothing else happened. No lights, no nothing. And he's like, that's weird. I need to go check my internet. Thank goodness. He goes upstairs, he goes to check it, he fixes it, comes back down. I see spread eyes to the light. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, please, someone help me. I need to get out of here. Like, I'm really feeling the direction this is going. I'm not going to be safe. I'm not going to have the energy because I'm sick all day to fight someone, literally, physically. And he came back down, started to make out with me again, and boom, it was gone. The internet was down. I couldn't get service on my phone, so I could text my girlfriends to help me out. I had her as a backup. And so I quit everything. She's on ASAP. I'm like, I don't care if I throw up on the floor. But when she's gone, I by myself, and I got to the door and I said, hey, I'm not feeling good. I almost threw up downstairs where you were up there. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I left. And he, at the same time, he's like, I just had to turn my phone, but I don't feel good. I'm going, yeah, that was like the first I ever asked for protection that I didn't know where it came from. Because there's no other answer of why it's completely easy for you to distract you to get into eat. And so when you ask the protection, don't question where or who it's coming from. Just trust that it's coming because you know that you believe in something else. You believe in whether that's universe or if you do believe in organized religion, like just know that that can happen for you. And this was all before I started working on my spiritual gifts. So they can all come out at any time that you ask. So I really appreciate you bringing that up because I also know that you've done it before when you've been traveling and stuff. So that's just another good call out too.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that, God, it's the amount of peace I have knowing that I can call on those, call on whoever and ask for spiritual help. I mean, there's just so many times where, like, I wouldn't have done something, and now I'm like, I'm protected. Like, I know, I can do this. Or just like, not even just protection, but like other things, like ask for help with confidence. Like I do that all the time. Like, hey, can you guys help push me forward? Can you help me stay calm? Because I mean, I'm somebody who had massive anxiety in the past, and that can seep back in super easily. These events that I do, as an introvert,
You
I
know,
usually have to, like, hype myself up a little bit because I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna be talking to a lot of people." And this is one thing I wanted to talk to you about is if you go to an event and people are asking about the thing that you made, I'm like, "I don't care how many people I talk to. This is amazing." Like, I'm so excited. So it's they just, like, fill me up, like, being able to talk to people. People ask questions, even if it's just like, which tea should I get? Or how did you start the business? Like all of these things, like it's just been so incredible and I'm so grateful. It just brings me so much joy. And I really, at different points in my life, I never thought that I could be this happy.
for sure, when
Mm.
you find your passion and you can feel the joy inside of you, like, that is the moment of fulfillment and satisfaction where your relationship to self, you're like, "I have to give this away because, no, it's not like I can keep this for myself. I have to let other people feel it," which it makes so much sense of, like, why we do what we do and how you are like, "I gotta make cheese. I gotta help people do this. I gotta help people do that." It's and it's incestuous, right? So, like, when you were doing it and talking and explaining it, the other people can feel your energy, and that also raises their vibration, whether they take your tea or not, because you're expressing that right now, you're passionate, which is, like, wholeheartedly why we go all in on ourselves, you know? Um, now I'm thinking about it, because now you share so many good moments that you have, like, either moment along your self-discovery and spiritual journey that, like, not only impacted your relationship, but it started a different product for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so most of my products, um, maybe all of my products, are either something that I needed myself, or somebody said, "Hey, do you have a tea for this?" And then I go, "No, but I can make one." And so I, research, okay, here's the herbs that can help with this thing, or here's all the herbs that I have for this thing. And usually the way that I do it is, I get all of the products, or I pull out all of the herbs, and I kind of just feel into my body like which ones I should pick, how much I should put in, and and you're the one who asked about like focus, like something that could help with focus, who could a tea that could like really, and you brought up memory too. So you talked
Mhm.
about memory, which nootropic herbs are herbs that can help with those things. And I came across, I wasn't even like, I hadn't, it was like in the mental to-do list. Okay, at some point try and make a tea like this. And then one day I was looking through my notes for something else, and then I came upon the nootropic herbs and I was like, "Oh yeah. Oh, okay, let me just go do this right now." And so I went and I pulled all the herbs out and I put them on the table, and and then I just, like, flip into this, like, flow state, which happens when I'm making a new product, and I start pulling the different herbs, and I just start mixing them, and I'm, like, writing down how much I'm putting, and then, like, tasting and testing it out. Okay, this is done. I'm gonna, I go drop it off at friends' houses, and I'm like, "Can you taste test this for me and see how it tastes?" So then I ship it off to you, and I start selling it, and then my friends who have ADHD are like, "Wait, this is actually helping us. Like, we can focus during work. Oh, wow, that's nice." And then they order more tea from me. Oh, they're so sweet. They're, like, supportive, and then they order more tea from me. Like, huh. Okay, so I think maybe this works better than I than I thought it would. And it's just so amazing to me because probably most herbalists are gonna like be like, here's how you figure out the proportions. And I don't do that. I'm like, I know that these teas help with this thing, and I am just going to like get into that flow state. I really do believe that what happens is like my higher self kind of like sinks in and is, like, in the room with me and helps me to figure out how much I should put of each thing and, like, just kind of takes over. And then I have these products. I'm just, like, so amazed. I'm consistently amazed. I'm amazed every month when I drink my moon cycle tea, and I'm like, "Wow, I don't feel like dying today. This is amazing."
And your t-shirt too, because I've taken
Yeah.
your t-shirt because yeah, that also is super helpful. But yeah, your brain food tea, for me, like the days that I don't have enough sleep and I need to focus, that is a huge one for me. Um, the ones where I'm feeling scatterbrained and all over the place, I actually have to take Hartman because I have to like give yourself compassion and put the to-do list down a little bit because I'm overstimulated. But brain food is very powerful. If you are, as anyone that's listening has been on my Instagram before, I have like shown those teas. If I'm having tea, I'm always drinking Sam's tea. Okay, so before we start on where they can find you, before we started recording, you pulled a tarot card.
I did.
So let's talk about tarot just a little bit before we go, because this was to me one of your newish spiritual gifts that like you talk about like yes, you did it for your husband's friends, but like now you realize that you are really good at this and that you can actually make this a service with your business. So let's just talk about tarot, how you got started maybe a little bit, and then the card you pulled.
And then so I can remember the first time someone did a tarot reading for me, and it was my friend. We were sitting on her porch, and she said, "Oh, let's do tarot for each other." And I was like, "What the hell is that?" I had no idea. Like, "Oh, I've seen this in like some movies." She pulls the sun card for me, and she then says, with everything in your life that you have experienced, you are still one of the brightest people I know." And I immediately start bawling. I'm like, "Okay, what is this magical thing that just, like, hit me deep and hard?" And I mean, yeah, I know I'm a Pisces sun, but still, like,
Right.
almost every time I read tarot, it brings up intense emotions. It is such a good way to connect with spirit. Such a good way to get advice. I The most common question I ask the tarot is, what should I be focusing on today? What should I be paying attention to? Um, I just think it's such a good way to really like understand what spirit wants you to know. Because not only are there like, okay, yeah, the fool means this, like traditionally, but also like every tarot deck is a little different. And so you look at the pictures, and the pictures there will be other things that make sense. There will be other things that you can tie in based on like the specifics of the situation that you're pulling the tarot cards for. I think that like I know a lot of people like to do general readings. I do like it when people ask questions though, because you can just like you can dive in so much faster, and you can really get to understand like the specifics of the situation. Because oftentimes with a general reading, you start talking, and then they're like, "Oh, well, this situation is happening in my life right now," and you can kind of um tie things from the picture on the card into that thing. Or you can go, okay, like traditionally this tarot card means this thing. The death card is like one of my favorite cards. And the death card is all about like rebirth, about something needing to leave your life. And like it's mostly about rebirth though, like this new thing coming in and like transformation and all of these things. Like my one of my favorite death cards is in the what deck is that? One second.
I love how you're gonna pull it out.
No, I can't help it. Okay, it's in the Anima Mundi tarot deck. And it literally has a snake like shedding its skin. I think that that is such
Oh,
a beautiful representation of what the death tarot card means. Because people see death and they're like scared. It's like, no, it is transformation. It's
I
amazing.
just have full body goosebumps. Like I can feel it on my ankles right now. That makes so
I
much more
literally
sense.
have I literally have on my phone a picture of myself holding that card with tears going down my cheeks.
If
You
that's not a
because
Pisces transformational moment, I don't know what is.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna tell you about the card I pulled for today.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, the card I pulled was the Fool, and I asked, "What do Molly and I need to think about, or what's something we need to focus on, or something to say just about this podcast?" And this is how I'm seeing it. So, the Fool card is about like moving forward, starting something new, diving in without worrying about like the repercussions, without worrying about what other people are thinking.
Disease.
Just like going for it and like going for it with like a smile on your face and like excitement and joy. And I am seeing that as like this is the first time on like a big public area that I have talked about all of these spiritual things that I'm into. And cuz I'm like I text you, I voice memo you, I have like two other friends. Um and I share like a lot of this with my husband even though he's a skeptic and he's like, "Okay." he's he's starting to believe a little bit more, but he's still like, well, couldn't it be this thing? So, anyway, so I'm seeing this as like we're diving in, we're like telling people like, yeah, we this is what we believe. This is how we feel about these things. And we're going forward and like we're smiling and laughing and having a great time and we're not worrying about what other people think or any judgments that might come in.
Oh, completely. I definitely agree. This is like one of the first times I fully came out and said these things because just like you, there are skeptics out there, and sometimes it's my husband, but and this will have to probably be
Yes.
another podcast episode where maybe you help me discuss manifestation because
Mhm.
I am a huge manifester. I can manifest a lot of things and I don't ever talk about it. And
Yeah.
I taught my husband how to manifest, and he loved it. I just had a picture of a guitar. I'm like, of course you did, sweetheart. Of course you did. I love you so much. And so those are the things. But like, once you teach a skeptic how to do this shit, they're no longer a skeptic. They tried it on their own. And that's just what you know talk about. You learned, you saw this struggle from your friend, and so you're like, finally, like you're digging in, and you're like, okay, I need to learn this. It's the same thing with a few other processes of things in your life. Like that's how you find passion. That's how you find things that you're called to do. And so I'm so excited that you called that out. So I'm excited. I freaking love the full card. I know that I was like, oh my gosh, he's walking out a cliff and he doesn't have a clue. But sometimes it's taking the risk, like you don't know what the reward's gonna be. So why don't you just take a
Mhm.
leap of faith and do it?
Yep. Yep.
All
100%.
right. Sam, will you tell everyone where they can find you, learn more about you, like even how they can like work with you if they want to do a tarot reading?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, at Moon and Hair Shop. And then my website is moonandhair.shop. And there you can find my shop that has all of my products in it, teas, tinctures, flower essences, some ritual bath salts. And then you can also book a tarot reading with me there as well. And then also, I have an offer for Molly's listeners. If you use the code Reinventing the Arena, that will give you 20% off, and that will last until the summer solstice, so June 21st. So take advantage of that. That only works on the website. I have an Etsy shop as well, but it will that discount code only works for the website.
Fantastic. Oh my god, Sam, this was awesome. We literally could have like you said, we probably could talk. We did talk over an hour, but we could
Yeah.
probably keep talking about something or other spiritual wise. So we might have to do this again and we'll figure it out.
Yes, thank you so much for having me and having this platform for me to jibber jabber about spirituality and spiritual gifts and all of these things. I mean, we really just like this is the surface level. There's so much more. It goes so much deeper.
Yeah, and the amount that I learned from you every single time we talk about spiritual stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn about this. I'm gonna learn about that. And we haven't even talked about like transmuting energy, using chakras and like visualize like all the things.
Mhm.
Oh, we might have to have some.
Just let me
All
know.
right. Well, thanks again, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you for joining me on the Reinventing the Arena podcast. I'm your host, Molly Conley, a dating and relationship coach devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives. Tap the subscribe button so you never miss out on an episode. You can always find me on Instagram at Reinventing the Arena, or you can learn more by visiting my website, reinventingthearena.com. And know this, I 100% believe there is a man out there for you. There's no better time than now to believe it too. You can always reinvent your love life, lady, filled with clarity, connection, and confidence. Just take it one choice at a time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will chat with you again soon.